Heyo everyone! I have been waiting for today because we are talking about this plus these. Now today won't really be a full in-depth review on these filters or even the Mavic 2, but more just my experience in using them together and a few helpful tidbits sprinkled throughout. PolarPro actually has an app that helps you determine what level of indie that you want to go for, so we'll talk about that a little bit here towards the end. We'll start things off with a few teaser clips of some of the dramatically changing weather here recently. Enjoy, and I'll see you back here in just a second. Now we're gonna dive in here in just a second because this is one that I have been trying to get done for like a week now, which is not really how you're supposed to do daily vlogs. I'm really excited to bring this video to you guys. Give me about 30-45 seconds to just get through a couple of these other housekeeping things, and then we'll move right into going out and flying. I'll try to explain my process out in the field. There's a couple other tips I have coming up. Especially how to properly seat those ND filters, and we'll go through the app. So to be totally upfront about all of this before we get started, I'm not being sponsored or paid or anything, just to totally clarify all of that. I'm excited about this. I had the original Mavic Pro and a couple ND filters for that. I really liked using that because it helped me to step down my shutter speed to a more appropriate level, like is recommended, double your frame rate. For me, I wanted to do a comparison of these filters against one another and try to solidify in my mind the sorts of environment, weather conditions, lighting conditions, that's what I'm looking for, lighting conditions that you would use different ND levels for, especially on this. The Mavic 2 Pro has the adjustable aperture, which is a big step up in my mind, but there's that sort of sweet spot in the f-stops that you want to be hitting, have less aberration from the edges of the lens and all that. Thanks for letting me get through some of that housekeeping stuff and some of the information I wanted to get out there before we went. But I did a bunch of filming around the area, around the Grand here, including Eastern Oregon University, and I'm just excited to bring some of that and some of the decision-making process that I made out in the field. So we'll roll those. Take it away, me. A couple good flights with the ND16 with the polarizer. It's bright and sunny, as you guys can see from the footage. Overall, I think 32 would have been a little bit too strong, and I think that with the changes that you can now make to the aperture inside the Mavic 2, I think that worked out pretty well today. All in all, good couple flights. We're going to try switching things up to the 32, ND32, and just see how that does for us. So yeah, I'm going to do that, relocate to another area of the campus, and then I need to get back to my car before they ticket me, so we better hurry. Anyway, like I was saying, I think we're about out of usable light today. At least for this thing. I have just a couple more tests. You can see I'm out here on a fairly bright, harsh lit day. I'm gonna try the ND32, but one of the things that I wanted to address really quick is in some of these shots, let this car go by. More people wondering what I'm doing talking to my car here. I have my gimbal set that I can tip past horizontal or straight forward. Is that as I'm doing that, it keeps wanting to drop back down to 0 or like +3 degrees of inclination. So something that I need to test right now is I'm gonna put on, you can see here I have the original, what would this be, UV filter, protective filter that came with the camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that back on and do another flight, and we'll show you guys. So I can hear an airplane. For anybody who recognizes, this is actually within the La Grande Airport area. To ease any concerns, I have already called the airport and spoke directly with someone there. This is not a tower controlled airport. And so they appreciate, at least here, just giving them the heads up, and I've cleared it with them, and I'm gonna be staying below 100 feet AGL. Just wanted to clarify that. Always fly your drone responsibly and safely, especially concerning other air traffic. So I've done that due diligence, and we're gonna do the test now. So why don't you say we hurry up and do that? Okay, so I'm sort of tucked under the barn there. I'm at almost 30 degrees, which is like the maximum pitch that you can get with this above straight forward, and it's not doing that. So I wonder if it's partly the wind along with a little bit extra on the gimbal that's causing that overload for it to drop back down. The sun just went behind a cloud, so it's a little bit less bright out here. So I think the UV, the stock UV filter or whatever this is, just the protective lens covering. So we'll do one more quick little test flight, see if I'm getting any of that same issue, although I wasn't able to recreate it this time. Anyway, one more quick little flight. I'm pretty disappointed to see that even with the UV filter on, going above that 0 degrees with the gimbal has that reaction. Now I have the latest firmware. I just upgraded the other day. I've been putting it off, so I went ahead and upgraded that to see if that would solve the problem. It is not. Now I always travel with that gimbal clamp in place, so I know that that gimbal hasn't been getting jostled around. You know, it's something that I'm gonna have to do more investigation into. If anyone has any prior experience with this, it's something I can't really dive into today doing the research, but I will do that, and I will update you guys with another video if I do find out any new information, and I'll be sure that that's linked down in the description at least if there is that future information coming. So I better get home and get this edited for you guys, but thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk a little bit more at home. Now PolarPro does provide in most of their kits. This is actually to get the original off, and I highly recommend supporting the gimbal, that you just snap it on and carefully twist. If you're looking straight at the lens, it's counterclockwise, just a little twist, maybe 5 degrees. There it is, focus finally. You can see here that one of the prongs is a little bit wider than the others, this one up here. That correlates with a spot on the bottom of the lens there. The easiest way I've found is, woo! Now also sort of the way that I am trying to remember which way these go is that the PolarPro logo goes upright when the drone is upright, so it goes down as I'm looking at the bottom, the belly of the drone. But on the polarized versions, because the logos aren't on the top and bottom, you want to use the PolarPro logo to the right as you're looking at the belly. So that's the installation and deinstallation of the filters in a nutshell. I'll dive quickly into the PolarPro app. The first thing you notice when you pop open the PolarPro app here is that there are options for video and photo. The shutter speed calculator, long exposure calculator, we're not really talking about the long exposure, but in the video, you can see that you have target shutter speeds based on your frames per second, and the current shutter and the filter that you have currently installed, if you do or not. You can switch all that up. So say you're flying right now and it's 1/640th is what a proper exposure, or maybe 1/250th. At the top you can see it changes. If you have the 4 or the none, you can see how it just increases. The top in the white is their suggested for you. There's some other things in the app that are useful for flying drones, like weather, wind conditions, the KP index, weather forecast, and then one of the other useful things is golden hour forecast. And that just tells you about how long that sunrise will be or sunset, and about where the sun is on the horizon. There's a bunch of other things. You can always walk through it again. And then, yeah, that's basically the app. So yeah, all in all, a reasonably useful tool. Now, PolarPro also sends these cards that have filter guides on them with their other packs, and I know most other, if not all other filter companies do that. And just talks about orienting your polarizer for the maximum effect, and just goes through, goes through sort of how you install as well. But so that's useful. I would recommend to anybody who's sort of a beginner or starting to understand filters and ND levels and how that all works with the other settings, because now you're kind of taking that exposure triangle and turning it into like an exposure square. It can be really confusing and hard. I know when I was starting to figure out how to use ND filters and other things like that, I didn't really understand which one I should use when, because I had the other settings on my camera I could switch up. So all in all, I think a tool like that is useful. I think it's a pretty decent app. Like I said, if you want a full review of that, go ahead and drop that in the comments. And oh my gosh, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I have been looking forward, like I keep saying, to bringing this video for quite some time. A bunch of the random weather that was happening really made for some awesome shots. So there's a quick tip for you. If it's nasty weather, chances are probably pretty good shots. You just are gonna have to probably be patient and really think about, you know, strategically how you're getting those and how you're gonna be using them. I should have been planning this out, you know, like to do in like for my weeklies. Wow, guys, thanks so much, like I said, for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate your views. If this has been helpful, give me that thumbs up and click the 11 daylights out of that subscribe button. Be sure to check that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload. You know, YouTube's kind of squirrely when it comes to notifying subscribers, so be sure you have that bell checked. And that's all I had for today. If you guys, like I said, if you had any questions concerning filters, the drone, all that, drop those in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you on that. Wow, guys, what an amazing time. I'll leave you with a couple more clips here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow once again.